Hello, back on the podcast. Welcome in, everybody. Exciting weekend. Jon and John from MLB Data Warehouse are here. So it's waivers, but we don't have a lot of waiver stuff. And we'll get some names at the end here, but it's not the most interesting or pressing things. Trade deadline weekend. John
It's going to
Allen
make
did
it
a
more
lot of
interesting.
yeah. The waiver thing we'll have to. We'll talk about some players maybe that'll pop up for fantasy relevance on Monday. This deadline is not today; it's the 31st. I wish it was, but we got the whole weekend to do trades. So John Allen is here, as you heard him. He's done a lot of thinking about the trades, and he's gonna help us out here. But the big story, the big name. First of all, do you think we didn't talk about this off recording, but do you think the lockout thing is an impact here?
I think it does for certain teams
In what way?
in which just in terms of the amount of money they're committing for next year, or not committing.
Do you know what would happen if, say that somebody got Joe Ryan, and I think he has 1 year left on his deal, if the season was wiped out next year? I don't think that would happen.
And that's a mystery question at the moment, is that service time and all of those things that go into it. Plus, who knows what the new free agency period is going to look like after the latest negotiation. So
we can't say one way or the other that the team that trades for Ryan would have him in 2028 or would not. We just don't know.
We don't know. And again, it's one of those things that'll have to get worked out in the wonderful collective bargaining agreements. I just can't wait to see the video of players in their suits going into meetings that nobody can go into.
What do you think about a salary cap?
I think a salary cap is an interesting idea. I think it's interesting that they included a floor. Yeah. I think that's the bigger problem here. I don't think it's how much money the teams want to spend at the top. It's how much money teams don't want to spend at the bottom.
Yeah.
And at least as a fan, that's how I see it. I'm sure the owners, obviously, that is not something they see, but I can't imagine being a fan of all these teams that have been running around with $50 million
that's me
budgets. And yeah.
Hello, John Anderson from Pittsburgh. I did wear my Phillies hat today because the Pirates have lost 3 straight. That's the rule. If the Pirates lose 3 in a row, I stop wearing the Pirate hat and go back to the Phillies. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. The owners are really pushing. I mean, you turn on MLB TV now and you watch the commercial break, and MLB is pushing pro salary cap commercials. It's crazy. Like, the war is on.
You see it war.
The survey. Yeah, the surveys of fans say that 80% want more fairness. It's just, I mean, it's like, the lies, damned lies and statistics. It's like 95% of fans want things to be good rather than bad. And the salary cap is good. Therefore, you should think, it's manipulation and stuff. But there'll be plenty of time to talk about that. That's all we'll be talking about in December and January when we're all worried. But Tariq, who knows? Tariq Skubal is how I say his name. He's the big name on the board, and we're thinking we're going to talk about it because the Tigers are going to lose him. There's no doubt. He's a unrestricted free agent, and Tigers probably aren't even going to pretend to try. They're not going to pay what he's worth. So we have a lot of thoughts about that. The Kalshi markets, just to give you an idea of what people think will happen, come down to the Dodgers, of course, Brewers, and the Braves. So the people buying stocks, quote unquote, on this say 46% chance that Skubal's next team is the Dodgers, 26% Brewers, 8% Braves. Even Tampa Bay, Detroit is on here for some reason, 7%. It's not going to happen. Cubs, Yankees. Anyway, it looks like it's coming down to the Dodgers and Brewers. The Brewers typically haven't been a team to buy, but we have this unique situation with the Brewers and all these prospects they have, and Mizurowski and this roster they have that seems to actually be able to take a run at the World Series. So tell us about the Rule 5 thing you were telling me and how that affects their approach.
Yeah, so a number of players only have a certain amount of time in the minor leagues before they have to be made eligible for a Rule 5 draft, where as you've seen in the past, the White Sox have taken advantage of this a lot, where you basically pick a guy off the minor league rosters of another team, and as long as you keep him in the majors, you get to keep him, and you basically didn't pay anything to get him. The Brewers are in a situation where, because of the crazy depth of their prospect farm, they're lining up over the next 3 years to have a lot of guys that people are going to want in the Rule 5 draft. So it's nice to have a farm packed full of prospects, but the Rule 5 basically creates a world where you can't keep up with that one. Now, there's also a minor league version of the Rule 5, but that's usually for guys who have been in the minors for so long, every tasted, they're not really your top prospects. So,
yeah, here the volume wasn't great there, but the long story short, you can only protect 40 players total every winter during this Rule 5 draft. So if you end up in the situation where you have just a ton of prospects and you can't fit them all in the 40-man roster, then you lose them for basically nothing. You get a comp pick or something like that. I don't know, but it's that plus like the Brewers have tons of just like infield top prospects, right? Like it just makes a lot of sense for them to trade a couple of them to get a big return and finally make a World Series push. Like the Brewers have been winning these divisions easily, but they've never gone into the playoffs with any real chances of beating the big teams, right? Because the pitching and the offense is, pitching's been good, but it's not like they usually have had a guy that can go out there and just like win the playoffs by himself. They have that this year with Misiorowski, if his arm and elbow and everything can make it there. And then if they grab Skubal, give up, I don't know what it would cost. You wouldn't think it would be like Jesus Made. That's probably off the table, I'm sure. And Skubal's not going to be deserving of that kind of return, right? But a couple lower key prospects maybe.
Yeah, I mean, really, the next step down, and one of the guys that was in the same breath as Made to start the season would be Luis Pena.
Yeah,
he's had some health issues during the season that have kind of bumped him down, but he is still pretty high, usually in the top 50, if not higher, of most lists. He's a guy who is definitely not a shortstop, probably a second baseman, maybe a third baseman, but he has all the similar skills of Made, and he's slightly younger than Made. So that's a guy that I think some teams could target, and I think the Brewers could see a path to moving him because there's nowhere for him to play in the majors anytime soon.
Yeah, Terang and Made would seem like the future there. So the other part of the Brewers getting Skubal is that would mean the Dodgers don't. Yes. So it's like a double boost. Like, okay, right now the Brewers would probably have a tough time with the Dodgers in a 7-game series in a hypothetical NLCS. If the Dodgers get Skubal, forget about it. It's baseball; anything can happen, but we're relatively. If the Brewers get Skubal and get him and Misiorowski to the playoffs, I mean that's you usually use a 4-man rotation in the playoffs, so that's half your rotation plus Harrison plus I guess whoever I'm missing somebody decent, right? But
Logan Henderson.
Yeah, Henderson. There
unless you give him up in the deal.
Right. Very, very good rotation plus an offense that's good enough. So it makes all the sense in the world for the Brewers to go after Skubal to be the team with the big prospects. Now, if the Dodgers really want him, they have the prospects too, and they definitely at least the Brewers. The Brewers' approach is we're going to be competitive by developing talent. The Dodgers are the opposite. So the Dodgers can give up prospects and not miss them. I don't know, seems like 80% of their Dodgers World Series rosters haven't been developed players through their organization anyway. So it seems like they would be perfectly fine giving up whatever it costs to get Skubal. Nobody really wants to see the Dodgers get Skubal, right? And I don't really want to see the Brewers either. But I don't know. I guess I should. It's not like the Pirates have World Series hopes, so maybe I shouldn't care about that. And maybe I should be more partial to the small market Brewers. But that's Skubal. The Braves you mentioned as maybe an outside chance. They've got some higher level pitching talent.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is going to be what the Tigers are looking for in return. Yeah. I think the Braves have the best group of upper level MLB ready pitching prospects. I think the Brewers have the best group of hitting prospects that may not be ready very soon, but have the highest ceilings. And I think the Dodgers sort of represent that middle ground of They have some pitching prospects. They're more like double A, although I guess 172-year-old River Ryan in AAA maybe counts for a guy who's MLB ready if he wasn't hurt. But they also have the top end hitters as well. So yeah, I think it's the Dodgers. If they want to keep everybody else from Scooble, they can.
Yeah.
If they don't, then I think the Brewers, the Braves, and I think the Rays also are another team that could go out there. They got a new ownership group coming in, so maybe they want to make a run since the Red Sox and the Yankees are kind of banged up. So I think they got an opportunity.
According to Kalshi, there is the same chance that Skubal just retires that as the chances of him pitching for the Pirates. So there you go.
Yeah, I think you Pirates fans should be dreaming on Mason Miller. I don't think that's the guy that's going to show up.
Let's talk about him. He's the other kind of big name, and then there's a couple sneaky guys too. But Mason Miller, I kind of just don't think they're going to trade him. What do you think?
It would seem a little strange given what they gave up last year to get him that they would. Now, obviously, they have a bunch of needs in a lot of places, but I just don't think this Padres team is built for a very long playoff run. Maybe to make the playoffs, yes, but not a very long run. And it's also this is another team that has a new ownership group that's coming in. Who knows what they want to do with the payroll? They got a bloated payroll from blowing a lot of money on free agents like Bogarts and Machado, who finally is playing like he normally would. But I don't really see that as being a thing. Now, I maybe if somebody blew them away with a crazy offer, yeah, I could see that. But there's other bullpen guys out there. I think that people are going to be very interested in. I think Riley O'Brien from the Cardinals is a guy who at least is a closer at the moment, who I think a lot of teams will be interested in. I know lots of people have been talking about Luke Weaver with the Mets, a guy who was a closer for a time with the Yankees. So lots of bullpen arms out there. That's probably where most of the moves are going to be made.
Yeah, and I don't know why, if you're like a price conscious team. So like the Kalshi says 77% chance that Miller just stays with the Padres, 25% to the Yankees, 5% to the Brewers. Nobody else is on the board. That's not inside information at all. It's not baseball. It's just people, just like random people who like to put money on stuff. So that doesn't mean that that's reflective of reality, but tells you something. It's just like, why would a team want to give up a big haul for Mason Miller when they could go get Luke Weaver? Obviously, there's a difference there. Miller's much better, but you can get a very good reliever for basically nothing, right? Like you can always find very good relievers that teams just want to dump and get something for them or get the salary off the books or whatever. So that's kind of why it just seems like the price is going to be too much. There's also the angle that if someone does want to give up a big prospect package or something for Miller, that maybe they would have the in mind of seeing if he can be a starter again. You know, it's not like Miller is definitely only a closer. He probably is, but some team that gives up a lot of stuff for him could try to make up for that by maybe seeing if we can turn him into a pretty good starter. That's how he came up, but there was all kinds of injuries, and it seems like if you have the best closer in baseball, why mess with it? But I don't know, that could be a part of it. So we were thinking about just the one way you can get ahead if you're in a fantasy league where you can immediately add players at any time. That's how my home league is. And if you need saves, the trade deadline is a great time to get saves. It just doesn't seem like the greatest year for it. But in case that's not clear, if the Cardinals trade Riley O'Brien, you should immediately go out and add somebody.
Who knows?
George Soriano, right? I guess the Mason Miller one's easier. If Mason Miller gets traded, you should probably go add Jason Adam or Jeremiah Estrada.
Estrada just coming back from an injury, so who knows? Adam injured at the moment, but he could be back at any time.
Oh, really?
It'll be interesting because if they trade Mason Miller, do they go full on? Let's just clear the decks, and they have a lot of bullpen arms that they could trade as well beyond him. So you definitely want to pay attention. That last 2 to 3 hours is usually where all the relievers all of a sudden start disappearing. So at the very least, it's also going to be a place where if you're a saves and holds, all of a sudden guys who are not getting holds are now all of a sudden going to have to be getting holds. So you definitely want to be active on Monday afternoon.
Definitely. Yes. All right. So those are kind of the only two we could think of. I mean, the Mets are obviously going to trade or going to sell, but we don't think they'll trade Devin Williams. And there's just really not a ton of like teams that are definitely selling. But I will try to be active on Twitter, kind of giving thoughts, and I'll consult Tim and John. Maybe we'll just have a little text group about it and see what we can find. What about Hunter Green, though? Like, this was unexpected, right? And now there's a report that he's a 50-50 chance to get traded. Now, Kalshi doesn't think so. They think Hunter Green's next team next year, meaning is 93% the Reds. And he's not like a free agent anytime soon. I'll look that up. But do you buy into this at all, or are they just floating his name out to see what the offers are?
Yeah, I think they're trying to see what they can get out there. Somebody's going to lose the Scooble bidding, and Hunter Green would be an excellent consolation prize, if you will.
Yeah, he's not a free agent until 2029.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't make any sense for the Reds to trade him unless they just get overwhelmed by a deal. But then again, it didn't make any sense for them to trade for Brian Hayes last year. So, and they did that. So who knows about the Reds?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with Green and Burns and Lodolo maybe next year doing better, and Sal Stewart and Ellie, and then some other young. I mean, it's not like a team that's going nowhere. They could definitely compete soon. And Hunter Green would be. Hunter Green's probably their best player overall, right? I guess you could say Ellie, but
yeah, I would think Ellie, but definitely Hunter Green number 2, definitely their best pitcher.
Yeah,
so
that
I would be shocked if they traded him.
Yeah, Zach Neto is also here. Freddie Peralta. You think Freddie Peralta could go back to the Brewers?
I do. I think if they don't get Scooble, then that's an interesting move for them because they know what it takes to get Freddie Peralta right.
His fastball is dark. I mean, his fastball is legitimately different and worse this year. It's like, did the Mets just try to tell him to try something different that doesn't work? I don't understand. Or maybe he's just old. I don't know, but he's bad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Brewers knew it was time to get rid of him because he was going to be a free agent. But I wonder if he wasn't a free agent, if they would have held on to him this year and kept him around. Yeah,
1-year deal. All right, he's a free agent after this year, so he would be. You could get him very, very cheap. His numbers are bad. I mean, you can almost get him for free.
Yeah, between the bad pitching performances and the only a couple months left to have him. So
yeah, Kevin Gausman's another one, probably.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of people at Cubs. I think will be very interested in him. They could definitely move a prospect to get him again. Another guy who hasn't. I mean, generally he's been very good in the second half, and he hasn't been so far the second half. So, and I don't know if it's just a matter of he's waiting to get traded and not really into it at the moment. But I think that's a change of scenery thing that I would be interested in taking a gamble on that. I think the Cubs should be first in line for that.
Yeah. So keep it locked. I'm going to try me and John if you want to help out. But Hunter was the news guy over the winter, so he's excited to write some trade reactions, and I'll chip in as well. But we'll try to get any big trade. I didn't feel the need to write about who was it last night? AJ Minter.
Yeah,
right? Like people don't really need to know about that.
It's interesting that the Twins, after selling all their bullpen last year, are now getting their bullpen back together again.
Yeah. And then the Peralta thing would be really funny if he goes from Brewers to Mets, sucks for the Mets, comes back to the Brewers and helps them win a World Series or something like that. That would be a pretty funny story. But yeah, we'll put out articles with reaction to the fantasy relevant or just interesting trades that happen. But let's get into the waiver wires. It's a short list because things are going to get shaken up. And it's a tough freaking time of year to be doing this anyway. Like, how do I share this here?
Yes, we're in a place where it's interesting because the short season complex leagues are done. All of those guys are starting to move up to low A. When those guys move up, everybody else seems to move up, and then all of a sudden, like 10 guys disappear as well. So there's a little mix. There was big news yesterday of one of the big prospects moving up. So yeah, but other than that, it's a little hard to find what you're looking for, especially because it all could change this weekend.
Yeah, but let's talk about it. You put Clayton Beater here. keep waiting on someone to run away with the closer job in the Nationals, and Beater seems to have done it. 3 saves the last week. Nationals keep winning.
Yeah, he's not a guy that I thought I would bother with in the offseason, but he's the one constant that seems to be out there in the bullpen for the Nationals, and somebody's got to get saves, and it's been him so far.
Walk rate,
The other guys have tried to jump in there, but he keeps showing up.
yeah. Yeah, nothing disastrous here. 3.58 ERA, still just walks. I don't know, basically one every time he goes out there. It looks better lately, I guess. Not too many. Well, he's been pretty good with the walks, so there you go. That might help. So Beater for saves if you need him. Mason Montgomery, I put here. This is definitely a step below Beater because Montgomery is probably not he's definitely not the traditional closer, but he has been pitching really, really well. Again, he's throwing strikes again. He just looks dominant. He's got 101 from his left arm, which other guys don't have. So if you really need some kind of hold save situation, Montgomery seems to be clearly the best reliever in a Pirates bullpen. If the Pirates make trades, I would bet you see the Pirates acquire some relievers, so that could shake things up. Maybe they get Luke Weaver and make him the closer. So maybe even that's the angle. Just pick up Luke Weaver now in your fantasy league. I don't think he would be owned in a 10-team league with saves, right? Because he's not getting a ton of saves. So pick him up, and whoever, if he gets moved, maybe that team makes him the closer, and you got something there. Deep league pitcher targets. We didn't have any shallow league starters, just because it's a lot of the guys we've been talking about got over 50%. But I threw in here. I looked at the matchups real quick. Anthony Kay gets the Rays and Cleveland next to. Brandon Sproat gets the Pirates and Twins. I think both of those guys are at least league average-ish talent-wise, and they get good matchups coming up. It's probably not a long-term strategy, but I did that. I also threw Jacob Lopez on here. He's thrown a little bit of a different pitch mix. I know he's a fly ball pitcher, and he's been bad, and he pitches in Sacramento. There's a lot of reasons not to like him, but he's looked pretty good since he got back, 27% K rate, doing some of that stuff that he did last year. Four-seamers and sliders more. He kind of stopped throwing some of the other pitches, and it's worked so far, and you could kind of use him on the road at least. But Quinn Matthews, Cardinals pitcher, finally going to get to see him. Let's hear about Quinn.
Yeah, making his major league debut on Saturday for the Cardinals. Had a huge breakout in 2024, and actually people were thinking that he would be in the rotation for the Cardinals to start 2025, but they didn't bring him up after spring training. Then he had a horrific 2025, could not find his control to save his life. Started out that way again this spring, but then sort of found himself here the last couple months, and he's been the guy that he looked like in 2024. He's got a 1.55 ERA since June started in AAA, and is a guy who will get you some strikeouts. But again, I think the key for him is going to be how he controls the strike zone and controls his walks.
Yeah, since June, 59 strikeouts, 19 walks. That's a 21% K minus walk. You see over here, if you're watching the yearly stats, then that, I'm just repeating what you said. You covered it well there. But in 2024, 35% K rate, sub 9% walk rate, and 143 innings. It was okay, this guy's a blossoming ace, and the Cardinals need him, so let's go. But they chose not to use him right away, and then he went to the minors and had a 17% walk rate. His walk rate climbed 9 points, almost 10. This year the walk rate's still high, 14%, but like we just mentioned, it's been fixed lately. Deep leagues only, I agree with that. What are the chances that someone who had this kind of command issues until recently in the minors comes up and does great in the majors? But strikeout stuff, lefty, good stuff, and worth a shot there in your deeper leagues. Hayden Wesneski returned for the Astros. Not the greatest debut. Tommy John surgery, coming back. Never been a high upside guy, but another guy the Astros can use in that rotation. Him and Ronel Blanco, right? The two returners there. Both have some strikeouts. Probably not great. ERA, I don't know. The ratios might not be great, but they're at least competent big league starters. And you wrote Wesneski here.
Yeah, I liked the outing, although it was probably what I expected, where that first inning he went out there, he gave up 4 hits. He gave up all 3 runs that he would give up for the game. Okay. He did go 5 2/3, which I thought was pretty impressive for the first game out from Tommy John. And he didn't give up a run and only gave up 3 hits after that first inning. So I think he's a guy that I'm interested in. It looked like he was going to become something last year before he got hurt, moved over from the Cubs in the Kyle Tucker trade, and was a guy who
Yeah.
just could never find himself. Again, I think control was a big problem for him. And seems to have figured out a better pitch mix while with the Astros. Now, obviously, it hurt his arm last year, so I'm not sure how it will go this year. But he is a guy that I am interested in, especially as a guy I can get now and have for next year.
Yeah, 6 pitches here. He threw 2 curveballs, 6 changeups, so they were kind of just like not really a part of it, but 6 pitches total. Sweeper was pretty good the other night. Sweeper, sinker, 4-seam cutter, changeup, curveball, a lot of different ways to go. And I guess I did kind of forget. People were really hyped up about Wisniewski and 2 or 3 years ago in drafts, and seems like maybe he's got a little bit more upside than I gave him credit for there. But we'll see. At this point, you might just be looking for somebody with a little bit of upside, and Wisniewski can give you that. Patrick Sandoval, I don't think he's on the same plane. My guys here, I put Lopez and Sandoval. Like that's definitely, those guys are definitely way behind what the other guys we just talked about. Like I would take a shot on Matthews and Wisniewski before these two. But Sandoval is pitching for the Red Sox now. It looks like he'll stick until he gives them a good reason to not have him in there. But Connolly early gets traded. Sandoval's back, longtime Angels pitcher, had a bunch of injuries, missed last year. Red Sox, I think the Red Sox signed him and extended him like while he was hurt. So they
actually signed him to a two-year contract last year, which was one of those things where we'll give you 1 year to get better, and then we'll see where you go. Again, a guy I don't know that I would invested in, and they invested I want to say it was like $20 million for the 2 years, which
it was strange.
Given his lack of control with the Angels, that wasn't a guy, and especially he's not a powerhouse out there. He's not going to blow anybody away, so he's got to fool you.
94-mile-an-hour four-seamer, but the slider and changeup are good. He just needs, it's like this. There's so many of these guys in the league. Like their fastball is, they can throw and get strikes and fool guys with sliders and changeups and whatever. But when the rubber meets the road, they just don't have a fastball that can get by guys, and it gets hit really hard. And that's what we've seen so far. And I think that's what you'll continue to see. But Sandoval in certain streaming spots, if nothing else. Shallow league hitter targets, don't need to spend a ton of time on. Dylan Cruz and Jason Dominguez. Neither of them are very impressive. But Cruz is hitting some homers. He's got a decent home run rate, looking a little bit better. Still has that first-round pedigree. Jason Dominguez hasn't really given us much reason to believe, but with Bellinger hurt, he's going to play. So sometimes that's all you need. Dominguez has been hitting like third or fourth against lefties, and he's been in there. He's a switch hitter, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he'll be in there. And you can at least get playing time and maybe some steals and a couple home runs. But your two guys, we'll spend some time with Max Clark, but Pedro Ramirez is here again. You're thinking maybe a trade situation.
Yeah, I think if a team is looking to send the Cubs some pitching, Pedro Ramirez would be a guy that would be near the top of my wish list. I know lots of people are talking about Matt Shaw, who's currently injured, but Pedro had a great start to the AAA season, showed improved power. He's hitting .315 while getting sporadic playing time. He's a guy I'd be interested in as a second baseman or maybe even a third baseman. I think he fits a lot of teams that have pitching to trade, and he would definitely be a guy that would be looking to get out of the Cubs.
Yeah, Nico Horner and Dansby Swanson are tough to find playing time around, and then Bregman at third, and none of those guys are leaving anytime soon. So makes almost too much sense for the Cubs not to trade Pedro Ramirez. Plus, he had this like breakout hitting season in the minors kind of out of nowhere. So it's like a good sell high for them too. Like, why wouldn't they take something they can get here? So that's a good call out there. And I mean, if he would go to the Yankees or somewhere in a upgraded home park or something like that, he could be running well there. Maybe that's not.
I think he's a guy that if I'm the Mets and I'm going to trade Clay Holmes, Pedro Ramirez would be a guy I would want to get for him, or Toronto with Kevin Gossman getting traded. Then Ramirez is a guy I think could start at second base for the Blue Jays. I
got yelled at on Twitter yesterday, because I've just been seeing, like, first I saw this story about the Mets don't know if they want to trade Clay Holmes, and like the White Sox targeting Clay Holmes. And then I saw this article about the Mets aren't currently in extension talks with Clay Holmes. And it's just like, these are articles you hear about Tariq Skubal, but like maybe it's just a New York thing, but and maybe I just took it the wrong way, but it seems like the talk around Clay Holmes is that he's like some ace pitcher, like highly touted. And I get it. He got like a decent ERA with the Mets since they made him a starter. But people were very mad at me for saying he's not that good. But are you?
Yeah, I wouldn't move mountains to get him, but
Yeah.
he had a good start to the season. Pitchers have good 2-month spurts. That doesn't mean that they're now magically all better. So
He was good last year, like in fairness, and then it's
well, and he was terrible with the Yankees right before he left. So I'm not sure that what you've seen with the Mets. And again, this is the Mets team that took Freddie Peralta and put him in the ditch. So
yeah.
who knows what's going on there?
Holmes had a 3.53 ERA last year over 165 innings. So like that's
Mm-hmm.
very useful. Any team would take that.
Yeah.
The xFIP was 4.25. The xERA was 4.33. So he overperformed a little bit. I mean, he's a ground ball guy. He's fine. I know. It's just like everybody's. I don't know. It just seemed like all the talk was like this guy's a super ace, and maybe teams will want him. I don't know.
He's
But
definitely one of those guys that's better in real baseball than he is in fantasy. Like he's not a
Yeah.
fantasy guy you're looking for because
Right.
he doesn't get the strikeouts. So
And it's probably just a New York thing. But anyway, I said something and people started yelling at me, and then the ball gets rolling and it gets, hits the algorithm. And then these two guys, you should go. I quote tweeted one of the replies this morning. You should go read this fight these two guys got into, because someone was like, Clay Holmes is good. What are you talking about? And then when the guy's like, his xERA is this, and then the guy's like, who cares about that, nerd? And then the other guy is defending my take. He was like, well, you probably think Eduardo Rodriguez is good too. And he's like, yeah, I actually do. And I get way more girls than you, and I'm richer than you. And the other guy was like, no, the one guy was like, I'm in a penthouse right now. Don't talk to me. And the guy's like, yeah, right. And then the dude on the penthouse in Philadelphia he wrote down this guy's Twitter handle. He said, whatever his handle is a virgin. And he held it up in front of the city and took a picture of it to prove that he was really sitting in a penthouse and like what he was saying was true. And I mean, it was just brilliant. I don't know.
wow.
Yeah, it was funny to wake up to. I hope that they were both kind of just being funny. Probably not. They're, but I don't know. That's a sidebar. Deep League. Oh no, sorry. Max Clark, number 5 MLB DW prospect in baseball.
Yes.
We have him high. MLB's list has him 13, but he's certainly a guy to know. We have him in here in shallow league. Well, I guess you wanted to move it down to deep. But so my thinking with shallow deep is that, are they good enough to make an impact potentially? Sure. And yours is thinking more of the ownership level. It's like that's fair enough. But the question is with Clark, he's got a little bit of power, probably not quite there yet. Speed, good contact rate. It's just like, is he potentially good enough right now for like a 10 or 12 team league? That's kind of the question we have to answer.
Yeah, and he may not be for this year, and I can definitely see that because it's taking him a little while every time he makes a step to adjust. This year he started off at AAA. He wasn't so great the first month, 6 weeks, and then he's kind of turned it down from there. He's a guy that definitely looks like a leadoff hitter, definitely looks like a center fielder, has a little bit of speed. I'm not going to say it's outrageous speed, but I wouldn't be surprised if he steals 30 bases in the majors in a full season. Yeah. He's a guy who, like you said, the power should seemingly be there because he is a pretty well-built 21-year-old, but hasn't really shown up consistently. I think maybe 15 to 20 home runs is probably where he'll be running when he's in full season MLB mode, 2-3 years from now. But definitely a guy who could be your leadoff guy, get you a lot of runs, get you stolen bases, get you good OBP. And as you can see here, obviously his OPS has been moving in the right direction here for the last few months.
Is it kind of common for guys to even have like an adjustment period going from AA to AAA? I've always kind of just viewed those minor leagues as like kind of the same. Like, is AAA that much harder than AA?
I think AAA at the very beginning of the season is because you have all those guys who didn't quite make the team out of spring training. Yeah. I think that's when your most talented players are in AAA, and actually at all levels at that point in the season, because you haven't had the rash of injuries coming out of spring training, and you have all these guys that got moved down that maybe should have stayed up. So I'm not super surprised by that. And plus, that seems to be his MO. Whenever he's moved up, it's been a little adjustment period before he's ready. So again, I don't know that he's going to be a stud right out of the gate, but I think he's a guy that next year is a top 250 to 300 MLB player, and then keeps moving up consistently from there. Don't know that he's ever going to be a first round pick in your fantasy league, but he's a guy that, with his speed and his OBP, depending on your scoring in your league, is going to be a guy that's going to be pretty interesting.
That's what I'm thinking. Like he makes contact, 93% zone contact rate. So he's not going to come up and have a 30% K rate like Esmeralda Valdez or like a lot of the other guys we've seen. And that should have some base hits, and the steals will be there too, right? Like the floor is kind of built in, even if he's not hitting for a good batting average or hitting a bunch of home runs. Like he should probably get you a steal or two per week. So that's some reason to like them. And in case you're not looking at the video, he's got what is this? He's got 11 homers this year, and 9 of them have come since June. And the OPS is around 900 since June, with a 1.086 OPS in July. So that knocked the door down, and the Tigers called him up. So if you just want some steals, or just like if you want the fun top prospects, like there you go on Max Clark. And we'll finish it up. Deep league hitter targets. I put Lane Thomas on here. Probably will get traded to somebody, right? And really good hitter against lefties. He's held his own against righties. Just a perfectly fine hitter. I don't know, kind of like a league average dude, but I'm playing in a tough lineup in a tough park, so a trade could help him.
And a trade could hurt him. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see where he goes, because he's getting pretty good playing time with the Royals now, because their outfield stinks. So, the
Pirates, like a team like the Pirates would actually make sense, because they just need a guy that can hit left-handed pitching. But if the Pirates get him, he's worthless for fantasy because he's not going to start against righties. So maybe that'll be the approach somebody takes. Eduardo Valencia, 2 home runs. I was introduced to Eduardo Valencia this week and never heard of him until he blasted 2 homers. And
he's a guy that's he's a guy that spent 8 years in the Tigers farm system. Really did not do much of anything until last year. I think he had 26 home runs last year between Double and Triple A. Got hot again to start this season, but not really a place for him until the Tigers released Jake Rogers. Valencia is a catcher, could be a first baseman, probably not the best defensive catcher you've ever found, but is an interesting guy, I think, for the rest of this season, because the Tigers have pretty much the same thing sitting down in the farm now. Jose Brasino, who is a catcher and a first baseman, maybe not a catcher. So he's a guy, Eduardo, that I think I'm interested in, and he's off to a crazy start with 4 home runs in his first 8 games. And then this is Tiger Central, because I went with Hao Yu Lee, who is a second baseman.
If you have a friend, you can just say, hey, how you doing, Lee? How you Lee?
Exactly. He had a 12-game hitting streak that came to an end the other day, but lots of people talking about Gleyber Torres being a guy that the Tigers are going to deal. And if they do, that opens up even more playing time for Lee, who has been taking advantage of the fact that Torres has been on the injured list here for the last few weeks. So he's a guy, nothing dramatic, kind of feels like another version of another Tigers guy, Max Anderson, in that he's a good stick. He'll get you a batting average. He'll get you a little bit of power, no speed. You can go from there.
I guess I'm just prejudiced, and I thought that he was a stolen base guy because he's Korean or whatever.
No. He's kind of chunky.
Okay.
I think he's like one of those 5'10", 200-pound guys.
All right, maybe I don't have the right prejudice on Koreans. Maybe I was too nice to them, thinking they were all skinny and fast. But
they come in all shapes and sizes. Just
apparently
like
and apparently they don't have kids over there. Like their birth rate in Korea is like less than 1 child per woman or something like that. So if they don't turn that around, they might have to worry
about him going on a paternity leave.
Or having another kid to make another Major League Baseball player out of him. I don't know. 33% stolen base success rate. I guess he's just 1 for 3. So, but I don't know. 6 homers, good batting average so far. And they're in Sacramento this weekend. So if you want to pounce on them right now, that makes some sense. I even projected. I was writing the DFS article, and the projected Tigers lineup has him number 3. So that's a good play tonight in DFS, and conversely, a good pickup in fantasy leagues, but deeper stuff, you're not going to get a ton of greatness out of him. We didn't talk about this Houston Astros Christian Walker idea you had.
Yes, I've been listening to lots of
trade here. We're done with the waiver wire.
Yeah. So as far as this trade idea, I'm very intrigued by teams that are in sort of the Astros realm of are they sellers? Are they buyers? And they also have restrictions in terms of what they can take on contract wise. So like when we talk about people getting Scooble, they're not worried about the fact that he's going to be owed like $10 million for the rest of the year. So
yeah,
Astros, on the other hand, are a team that has been skating, different levels of their budget. Christian Walker, first baseman they got from the Diamondbacks, is the guy they traded all offseason to trade. No one wanted him. He has had a pretty good season so far. The Phillies are a team that needs a right-handed outfielder. Now, if I can't have a right-handed outfielder, then I want a right-handed first baseman. I'm going to move Bryce Harper, who's had more than almost 2 years to recover from his TJ surgery, to go back in the outfield. And as Harper told the media the other day, he's taking his outfield glove with him when they go on the road, which I think it started today. So maybe he knows something we don't. Anyways, if I'm the Astros, I need to get off of a contract. Walker is a $20 million $1 million a year guy. He has another season under that contract next year. Phillies, I think, scoff at that kind of money. That's like nothing to them.
Yeah.
If I can get one of their DSL stars, so Renteria is a guy who has been highly thought of. I would love to get him if I'm the Astros, but probably not. And then Juan Parra is a switch hitting shortstop who has also had a pretty good DSL season. That opens it up for me to not only have more money that I can take on, but also have an extra prospect so that when I deal a prospect, I can move from there. And then I would go ahead and flip a bunch of my prospects to the Rockies and solve all of my problems in terms of having left-handed hitters. I get Jake McCarthy, who has speed. I have Mickey Moniak, another good guy who can hit runs from the left side. And I get Sentali, the guy who has been with this guy has been with the Rockies in the major league since 2017. He hasn't sniffed the playoffs. He usually gets pounded when he's at Coors. They finally moved him into the bullpen this year. Senzatella. And he's been pretty decent in the bullpen. And he's a guy that I think is a nice, give you more than an inning if you need it, but give you an inning if you just need that as well. You can never have enough of those guys. Fermin is the DSL star for the Astros. He's their number 4 on MLB Pipeline. Jason Chavone has had an incredible season in terms of hitting for power, but he's a guy that strikes out a ton, but he is their number 3 prospect. And Alonzo Treadwell, I think, hits the MO that this Rockies group is looking for. They picked up a guy in Rule 5 who was 6'8" and 245. Well, guess what? Alonzo's 6'8" and 245. Probably a reliever, but he's had a pretty decent season in AA. So I think that kind of return for the Rockies. Moniak is a guy who they would have control over again next year for the Astros side. The other 2 guys are going to be free agents. So interesting.
I just had the idea. So you heard it here first, a prediction that the Astros will trade Walker to the Phillies and replace him with a trade with the Rockies to fill in the gap. I looked up the standings there, and the Astros, I mean, they're half game out of the first place, so they're not going to give up, but still it makes sense to move on from the Walker contract. But my idea was, since your Twitter account, John, it's Allen Reports. You look like a reporter because that's what you That's what you were. So I could say, source, Allen Reports thinks Christian Walker goes to the Phillies, and that will be true because you do. And it will look like you're a reporter that might know something, and we could get like $4 in Elon bucks, and I could share it with you. So I don't know. But anyway, maybe even we'll try to do I think my actual work schedule is pretty light in August because I work with Europeans and they all take the month off. So maybe we can do a trade deadline reaction show next Tuesday or something like that if you're interested.
Sounds like a plan.
But for now, we'll say goodbye. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.